still Marketing Edge on TV, and this is the Industry Conversation segment. Today we'll be talking about political advertising, and with me I have to my left Olumide Campbell. Olumide Campbell is the Director of Strategy at Etodi Communications. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you. Good morning.
And also I have Wasiu Ola Abiola. He is the first Vice President, Advertisers Association of Nigeria, ADVAN. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Okay, so I'm going to start with you, Olumide. What is political advertising? Is it just the regular billboards and posters and TV commercials or radio commercials that we see around? What exactly is political advertising?
Well, it's advertising, so it encompasses all the billboards and posters and radio.
Okay.
But because it's political, it engages everybody. If a brand wants to advertise, they typically will not, really engage the whole environment. But when it's political, everybody's involved. So for a political campaign, you would expect that the politicians are, engaging from the grassroots. And so, like every other campaign, it starts with planning.
Okay.
You have to also have your own strategy. And there's a difference between the political strategy and the campaign strategy itself. Because political strategy has to do with, all your grassroots supports, your, being able to identify key influencers in your constituencies, how to get into, the minds of your people, and all that. And then there's a campaign which has to do with the core advertising. And as you know, it starts with the idea. Who are you? What do you represent? What's the ideology of the person?
And how do you want to be perceived?
Exactly. And from the party we are coming from, there's also an ideology you're selling. So from the idea, you craft your messaging, and then you continue, both above and through the line. So political advertising actually encompasses everything. So it's integrated, it's 360, because you have to do it above the line. People need to see your posters, your billboards, and all of that. But you also have to do your road shows, your town hall meetings.
Yes.
You have to go around door to door, and more especially when it's maybe in a locality. So if you're going for a Senate position, or you're going to do a constituency position, you need to be speaking to them door to door.
Okay.
At the same time, you're still going to have to do your typical, they need to see the posters and all of that, just to show that, you're out there and all of that. So it encompasses everything that a normal campaign will encompass.
Okay. Wasiu, you are the first Vice President of ADVAN. Now, from the point of view of an advertiser, how would you optimize creatives when it comes to political advertising?
Okay. I'll start by saying that political advertising is a process through which political parties and their candidates employ the types of advertising to sell their programs to the people. And you talked about how are you going to optimize creativity?
Yes.
While Olumide was talking, he talked about advertising starts from you first have an idea, campaign idea, and from that idea you develop creative messages, that will be sold to the public. And from a political advertising point of view, you first need to understand what does the party stand for, or the candidate stand for. Once you know what the candidate stands for and what the party stands for, you have the campaign idea, which is what you want to sell to the electorate. From there, you now develop your creatives. Looking at the environment at the moment, and to answer your question specifically, I'm going to make reference to the good example I can see to actually bring that to life would be the, unfortunately, will be not in this republic, but in the last republic, this third republic. And I want to make reference to, then we had two parties funded by government and all of that, and that was SDP and NRC.
Okay.
And from the advertising of the two parties, you could tell that SDP was more for the masses, while NRC was more of an elitist party. And SDP had what they call 5 freedoms, freedom from poverty, illiteracy, and all of that oppression. And so that on that basis, they now develop creative campaign, that rest on the platform. And you saw them coming up with questions like, copy like, should food be this should housing be this unavoidable? Should traveling be this difficult? Bringing up issues. So it starts from what does the party stands for. So for you to maximize your creativity, there must be basis for the party must be known for something. So to answer your question, you can maximize creativity by first, have a platform. When you talk about US election, you talk about two parties. the Democrat, the Republican. One is more to the left, one to the right. And these parties are known for certain places. So it starts from what does the party stands for. When you know what the party stands for, you can now begin to build your creativity around it. Yeah. So to do political advertising and maximize creativity, there must be, basis, and it must be based on, there must be an idea that the party represents. So that's the starting point. It's a different ball game if you now say, do we see that in Nigeria or not? But I think we need to, we'll take it one after the other.
So, Olumide, do you think effective and efficient creative campaigning, do you think it has much to do with our democratic process?
Okay, democracy typically involves everybody, from the street hawker to the politician to the grandmother in the village.
Everybody.
So they want to know what you bring to the table. Yeah. And so definitely the more politicians campaign and engage with their constituencies, with their audience, the more people feel involved in the process of selection and in the process of engaging their future. So definitely, I think campaign is important, because a lot of times you never get to see your representatives until they come on the campaign trail. If they get into office, you're not going to see them again. I mean, how many times will they come back, to see you? So it's important that the campaign happens. It's important that the road shows happen, that the politicians are out there talking to the people about what they want to bring to the table, what their promises, in quotes, are. And people get to engage with them at that level. And you know how politics is played in Nigeria. It's very expensive. So when people meet them, there's always going to be sharing of goodies. Yeah. So that also people talk about dividends of democracy. It starts from the campaign trail. So people get to meet them, they talk, and at the end of the day, sometimes they're influenced by their constituency. So you when you go for a roadshow or a town hall meeting, basically you're going to hear people talk about their needs. So that's democracy at work. And if the candidate gets in, deep down in his heart, at least he knows the needs of the people. So whether he wants to go ahead and implement, it's another thing. But it's at the campaign level where people really get to meet their future leaders or possible leaders, and I think it's important that it's entrenched as part of the democracy, democratic processes.
All right. It's still Marketing Edge on TV, and this is still our industry conversation segment. Now, not a tough question. Now, how would you assess the current political players and actors? There's a lot going on right now. The elections are just around the corner. So, how would you assess most of them now?
Well, it's a difficult question, like you said, and it's difficult not because there are no answers to it. It's difficult because of the peculiarity of the Nigerian environment. You look around the political atmosphere. The first question you need to ask yourself is the parties. I think about 50 of them now.
Lost count, really.
I mean, quite a lot of them. But the leading ones, the question you need to ask yourself is, what are they? What do they stand for? I'm not sure. If you talk to 10 Nigerians, I'm not sure there are only maybe one person that can say, okay, this is what it stands for. So it's unfortunate that we don't even know what the party stands for. That's why you see people cross-carpeting. Today's one is in this party, next day is in the other party. So the politics we are playing, unfortunately, is such that it's all about politicians' interests, not necessarily about the masses.
So you don't think that the politicians are effectively communicating their ideas and programs?
No, they are not, because they don't even have programs. They don't even have programs, and because they are not. I mean, they are not. You can't say this is what this party is known for, and what they stick for. I mean, when you talk about political parties, it's all about welfare of the people, and you expect them to have clear programs. I mean, when we were growing up in the days of Unity Party of Nigeria, they had what they call 4 cardinal programs, and that was what led to them to come up with campaign. Let's try our. You had the MPN, they had. It's all about one nation. You had them coming up with something like 19 reasons. We talked about. Then Nigeria had 19 states. 19 reasons why. So, but looking at the parties now, what we see is just empty sloganeering. If I may use that word. People just talk. And you can't say you can't see the difference between the two parties in terms of when it comes to how they are going to fix the economy, how they are going to talk, infrastructure. People just talk and there is no basis for it. So, to answer your question, I would say, if I'm going to score them on the level of, 1 to 10, I would say 1. And the 1 would be maybe on pockets of what you could say you see in some states. But in terms of looking at the party on the national platform, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's bad, and that's based on the reality of what we see the parties come, because they are not. It's all about individuals.
Okay.
And it's all about what's for me.
Okay. So, do you also think that they are not, that's the politicians now, the political actors, they're not putting in any effort to even get their programs and ideas understood by the electorate, so they know exactly what they are voting for as against who they are voting for?
Well, I would agree with Wasu that there's very little issues brought up at the campaign level, right? But I also do not think that it's because the politicians don't know what they want to do.
Okay.
I think because the polity itself has defined a do or die environment where politicians are too busy politicking to even think about issues.
Okay.
So I think in the environment we're in now, the struggle to get the tickets has been a matter of who do you know, who are the godfathers, who do I need to talk to, how much money do I need to bring. So we've not gotten to the point where we're saying, look, it's not do or die. You're not going there to enrich yourself. You're not going there to make a fortune. You're going there to help the people. So talk to the people.
Thank you so much, Olumide. I'm sure that if I allow you, we're going to stay here for the next 1 hour. Well, it is still industry conversation, and I have been chatting with Olumide Campbell. He's the Director of Strategy of Etuodi Communications. And of course, I have Wasiu Ola Abiola. He is the first Vice President, Advertisers Association of Nigeria, ADBAN. Still to come on Industry Conversation, we shall be talking about hate speeches, hate news, and of course, the role of the agencies, the regulatory agencies in political advertising. It's still Industry Conversation on Marketing Edge on TV. And we are still talking about political advertising, and I have with me Mrs. Emme